Tag TV and Tag Radio. Be seen and heard by both technology users and technology producers throughout the state of Georgia and around the world. Low cost, big benefits, powerhouse online branded video and audio has arrived. Tag TV, Tag Radio, there's a lot more to know. This edition of Tech Talk is brought to you by GlobalSpeak.com, new media consultants, corporate video and audio communications, video and audio production and distribution, live and virtual event production. Tag TV and Tag Radio is a service of GlobalSpeak.com, creatively delivering powerful marketing, video, and audio solutions. Suspend your disbelief for a moment and go with this notion. How would you react to suddenly getting a glimpse of the future? Imagine, in essence, time travel, yet you don't travel into the future, as glimpse into the past. Think back to, say, 1996. Less than half of your friends or business associates that even use the Internet, YouTube, Facebook, and even the expansive intuitiveness of Google are years in the future. Cell phones, they're still a novelty, and guess what? They're not connected to every ear in every car or shopping mall. No blogs, no texts, no tweets. Think of how technology has affected your life in merely a bit more than a decade. Well, you haven't seen anything, not now or even in the next 15 years, that will change your reality more than nanolumens. Greetings, everyone. It's Tuesday, August 21st, 2012, and this is Tech Talk with Technology Association of Georgia President Tino Mantella. I'm your guest host, Frank Baia. Nanolumens has literally opened the floodgates to creative possibilities for image projection. Any image projection. Imagine virtually on any surface, full motion in any shape or configuration that transforms the physical world into any virtual reality. Up to the Tech Talk, the ultimate visual innovation that has no limit to how it will be utilized. Look back to see how far ahead this breakthrough digital wallpaper technology will rapidly take us. Airports to subways, convention centers to retail windows, museums to casinos, hotels, hospitals, theme parks, business communications, even convention centers. Could an environment immersed in digital wallpaper send you into the past or maybe into the future? A digital wallpaper with unlimited projection capability in any size, any shape, flexible, lightweight, ultra-thin, with the ability to flex and accommodate concave or convex curved surfaces. Time travelers of sorts, buckle your seatbelts and meet your pilot, Rick Cope, CEO of Nanolumens and leader of an executive team that combined holds more than 200 patents in display technology. Defining the word visionary, Rick is a successful CEO, president, CTO, COO, venture capitalist, and, by the way, combat commander, Marine Special Ops advisor to General Schwarzkopf for Desert Storm, and head of the Marine Corps Missile R&D. A unique blend of vision and operational excellence best describes Nanolumens and its CEO, award-winning visionary and results-driven leader for a quarter century. Take a glimpse into the future as we Tech Talk with Rick Cope. Rick, welcome to Tech Talk.
Thank you.
You know, I guess it would be easy to start by saying Termins in the Breakthrough Technology category by Tech America, Top 10 Innovative Company, presented the Spirit of Endeavor Award by the Technology Association of Georgia. I think those are probably just beginning, even a runner-up recognition from the Wall Street Journal Worldwide Innovation Award. I think anyone who's seen Matrix probably has a clue, but until they've seen your product in action, they don't really understand the term blown away. So for our listening audience, give us a little background about Nanolumens and exactly what it does and how it works.
Well, thank you. You're very kind. We've got a great team, and we've been blessed with many awards. We make large-scale digital wallpaper of any shape and size that's thin, light, flexible, and you can stick it on the wall with a couple of screws.
Just like that, no problem.
Just like that, no problem at all.
And describe it again, because I think it's kind of almost science fiction when you talk about thin like wallpaper. How did you call it?
So we make one product we make is a 5-foot high by 9-foot wide flexible display that's 1 inch thick that you could wrap around somebody that weighs 85 pounds, that pulls less power than a hairdryer, that you can actually take a couple of screws and hang it on your sheetrock wall or pick it up and walk off and carry it home with you.
And how does the projection...
Well, the 1-inch thick material actually makes its own light.
Okay, explain.
So there is no projector. We use inorganic diodes to actually make light, and the entire surface is covered with those. No matter how you bend it, the light's generated in this 1-inch thick piece of material and then emitted out into your eyes.
So how does the content actually formulate itself? I mean,
Great.
Can I run video?
You can run any content in any format you want. You can walk up to one of our displays, and there's a small display controller box. And you can plug into that box your iPhone, your iPad, your laptop, your DVD player, anything you've got that's got content on it, you can plug into our display controller, and whatever's on the display on the screen of the other object will appear on our screen.
So obviously, from the standpoint of, let's say, just even an aha or wow factor, a traditional presentation format automatically changes when something gets rolled out of a package the way you're talking about, or some form of holder, and then you open it up and then automatically kind of pin it on a wall and begin to present. But then I'm thinking, how many other ways? I mean, as I jokingly and was kidding around, but truthfully, Matrix. I mean, we're talking about on the sides of trains.
Yep.
In
correct. We're working with some folks in New York City to put them on the side of buses. We just shipped 15 displays to Sao Paulo, Brazil, to go into a subway system, where as you walk through the subway system, you'll first be encountered by a display that's 9 foot high, 16 foot wide, only 2 inches thick, floating from 2 thin aircraft cables from the ceiling.
Absolutely mesmerizing. I mean,
as
when
you go down,
attention,
as you go down into the subway station in an escalator bank, there'll be a 15-foot diameter display with emitters all the way around the outside curved surface, making one continuous image as you go past it.
From a creative standpoint, it seems like the possibilities are endless. I'm thinking from an efficiency standpoint, point of purchase and large exhibits, trade show displays, when we're talking about the huge amount of investment that normally goes into some form of digital projection of one kind or another, and you're not given the flexibility, literally, figuratively, of being able to wrap it around a pole by the way it sounds. But the other side of it is, I'm assuming weight and shipping becomes almost a non-factor.
Significantly lower. Toyota's got 5 of our displays, and they take them to every trade show they go to. You generally have to rent union labor by the hour, so they hang it from 2 wires in 15 minutes and spend the next 45 socializing with the union guys. Now,
does the, it's almost one of those kind of things you have to really wrap your head around and appreciate we often hear the term disruptive technology. I'm sure you're experiencing a case where not only are you disrupting traditional methods for the projection of information or images, but you're creating all new uses and applications that hadn't even maybe been thought of.
It's exactly right. And people, because there's so much stuff on the web that's not true, believe it or not, people have a hard time understanding that what we're doing is reality. So when we moved into a new building up here in Norcross, a 32,000 square foot building, we set aside and created a 6,000 square foot showroom. It's the largest display showroom in North America. And then we filled it. Right now it's got about 25 displays of different shapes and different sizes and different curvatures. Then we've got couches and chairs and lunch and snacks, and people fly in from around the world to sit in our conference room and envision and imagine what they could do that they heretofore didn't think were possible.
Now, I'm guessing, again, one of the things that we have been sort of doing a little bit of research and development in the area of the point of convergence, an overused term, but where entertainment and technology have come together. And arguably you could say that began when analog became digital, and that was the explosive point.
Correct.
But now you've got a case where not only do you have the disruptive digital technologies impacting all forms of what we used to say was traditional entertainment, verticals, music, film, broadcast, gaming, But now you've got a concept that says horizontally, they're all kind of converging horizontally and mixing together into what's possible. My point being is that this makes the delivery system ubiquitous. I mean, it really allows for almost any kind of delivery of any of the content because it doesn't know content, and it allows for the flexibility and the creative component to it to be done in any way, shape, or form, literally.
Exactly.
Or at some point. I mean, I'm sure
mm-hmm.
you've got it pretty much, structured now, but at some point it would be even more dynamic in terms of shape.
And what we've seen is the mass deployment of small screens in the people's hands in the advent of cell phones and now pablets and tablets. But when you're in a group, and we provide in a bunch of retail locations now a large display, you have the opportunity to do a one-to-many communication. And because of technology, now with your phone, you can interact with the display and change the content on the display, or vote as a group what should be up on top of there, or whether you're in a clothing store, you like a particular outfit better than the other person.
Wow.
So it's not just a large image. You get to actually interact with the image and vote and connect and control it.
Google's talking about the moment of truth, and the point of decision making. And how do you disrupt the decision? They talk about information, and we all now, I mean, it's so many of these things come from out of nowhere, and then they become cliche. But the big term, the new term right now, big data, and the idea of analytics and all of those kind of things. And what we're really now reaching a point is what you're talking about, and again, jokingly, but going back to the Matrix, where you're going to walk up to a Nanolumens wallpaper, and it's not going to react to necessarily the entire audience. It's going to react to some communication device that you've got on you that tells it exactly what you're looking for, and even potentially offers you a disruptive moment of truth message that maybe changes your mind to make a decision different than the one you had planned to do.
And we're deploying things like that now where you can interact with the screen, and you can pull up, for instance, a blouse on the screen and on you, and then one of the things that will happen is you can make decisions on what you know, but you can't make decisions on what you don't know. So this offers an interface point where the store or location can now offer up other things, accessories, shoes, pants, skirts, that you hadn't thought of before, enter them into your knowledge base, and now it expands the choices upon what you can decide.
This is me blown away, because, I mean, when you think in terms of mosaic thinking and the creative aspects, I mean, obviously you've got telepresence. Right. And the concept of the deliverable devices not being these massive investments of studios, but rather portable screens that you can pop up behind a podium and project an image of a guy that's speaking from Detroit into Miami. I mean, it's pretty fascinating. And then, of course, again, it's sort of like what I was saying earlier about the horizontal vertical digital entertainment convergence. Another arguable point would be that everything is entertainment, meaning not boring. And so now you drift into the business of business space. We were just talking about telepresence. I'm thinking telemedicine. I'm thinking, obviously the whole healthcare vertical, and what's happening in terms of some of the medical devices and communications from centralized thought leadership or centralized capability, talent, expertise, being then projected out to almost any an unlimited amount of expansion in terms of distribution of that kind of knowledge.
Exactly, and what they're all lacking is large-scale, wall-size visualization capability. So once I can turn any surface into a display, and you can interact with it and control it, it finishes out or completes the whole cycle of this desire for large-scale visualization with control from your handheld device.
Now, I got to ask you, obviously you've, I can't think of almost a vertical. I was thinking theme parks, and we're talking,
we have one in the front gate of Universal in Florida.
what theaters are going to look like in the future. I mean, your theater is going to be something you take with you, along with your knapsack while you're out camping. I mean, it's
right.
It's pretty amazing.
But it no longer needs to be a rectangular, long, deep box.
Well, that's an interesting point. Now, is the market determining the size and structure, or do you actually customize to the design? Or both,
we customize to. Back when I was at DARPA, I created, working with car companies and automobile manufacturers, a process called EOQ1, Economic Order Quantity of 1. And it was a manufacturing process where if you designed and built your subcomponents properly, I could make a vehicle, or in this case a display, for you that's one size, and the next person a completely different size, and the third person a different size, and yet my cost of goods on a square foot basis stays the same. So it allows us to do mass customization at low cost, and yet give everybody exactly what they're looking for their space or fit. We're doing one cosmetic store in a very large city where we're going to take a column in the middle of the store that's 2 foot square and wrap it 18 feet high with our stuff.
Well, I'm even thinking you're talking seasonality events. I mean, what does the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade look like when we're talking about giant Nanolumens wallpapers marching down with projection going on? I mean,
exactly.
It's hard to imagine something that you couldn't apply it to at some point or another.
Right.
Well, talk a little bit now about market penetration. Number one, it's almost, is it proprietary? Do you have any? I guess you've got similar type. I wouldn't call it competitors, because I think it's a market where you're creating opportunity rather than trying to compete for it. But the other side of it is, what about that? Is it a crowded space? Is it something that there's a lot going on? And is it domestic and international? Give us a little sense of the marketplace.
In the last 90 days, we've shipped over 200 displays to 4 continents. And a lot of what we're doing is allowing people to understand that you can do things they didn't do before. So we're creating new opportunities simultaneous with providing the method for solving the problems created by the new opportunity. Our markets are growing very fast, and they're kind of in 3 ranges, if you will. Retail, which is inside a space where you own the building and the property, and you're putting the displays in to enhance the ambiance, the look and feel, and the immersiveness of the location. Then there's advertising. We're putting displays in Penn Station and Grand Central Station and other subways around the world where you're going to advertise to the people that pass through the subway system. Then there's a lot going on with trade shows and traveling, moving displays. And those 3 areas are international. The U.S. is growing, but there's a lot happening in Europe and South America. And we even built, sold, and shipped a display back to Tokyo, Japan last month, which just kind of felt good. The technology doesn't know any language. So obviously exactly right.
It can project anything. That's, again, so that you're not limited by borders. What about, formats? It's compatible? I mean, obviously what you're talking about is almost a, click and connect kind of a thing, it almost sounds like.
It's plug and play in any format, any video content, any JPEG, any process you want. Plug it into our device, and it shows up on the screen. Okay,
now, although I think we've skirted a little bit about it, I guess about the only thing might be I'm beginning to see Curiosity having nanolumen screens planted on Mars or something, but, we can actually see one of our politicians wave back and say, vote for me or something.
Already happened. The Prime Minister of Canada stood 2 months ago in front of 2 nanolumen screens and gave a speech.
That's not fair. Every time I come up with something, you've already done it. I mean, it's like, okay, well now I'll put the peg on your back and say, okay, what's the future hold for you guys? What are you looking to do next?
Nanolumens is in a real position of leadership right now. We're going to continue to grow the company. We design and build displays right here in Atlanta, Georgia, and ship them around the world. And we're going to continue to create new opportunities for large-scale visualization everywhere that you can possibly think of, while deploying them to everywhere from the Atlanta Convention Center to Delta Airport to every airport, subway system, and store worldwide.
If you really grip it and you look and think in terms of how everything, one of the things, again, we often talk about here is everything's the same, only different. I mean, if you really look at each one of the verticals, some of the stuff we talked about as far as entertainment, but even healthcare, a lot of the things are converging where video has always been, but even more so is living up to the promise of being the killer app. It would seem to me that as each one of these verticals evolve, you're not just an embellishment or an enhancement, you're a critical component to the evolution of their leadership. I mean, Tag talks about where Georgia leads. You know, why wouldn't we lead in economic development? Why wouldn't we lead in healthcare IT? We do with the expertise we have, but how we get that information distributed, how it's presented. We were talking earlier about big data. Information is everywhere. The problem is attention. How do you get attention anything better than what you're describing?
And big data is great, but you've got to get the right piece of data to the right person at the right time, in the right context, and then it has relevance.
Well, and all of that, I don't disagree with that. That's obviously brilliant, and it's right on the mark. But also, if 10 people are doing it, you need a burst singularity. And all of a sudden, I mean, you know, at some point when they're all using Nanolumens, that's one thing. But until they do, you're using that and the other person isn't. You've got something that's going to catch people's eye, and that's going to get them to the relevant information that they need.
Exactly right.
And I'm loving that idea of a department store where I can stand in front and try several shirts on without going into the dressing room and be able to look at myself, not in a mirror, but in a Nanolumens wallpaper. That is.
And remember, as guys, our wife standing next to us saying, "You're not really going to pick that."
Well, or worse, she's looking at it and says, "Do I look heavy in that dress?"
I'm not going to comment on that one.
No, me neither. I never do. Well, let me tell you, it's really exciting, Rick. You know, it's always great. Number one, it's fun to talk to innovators that are making things happen and doing something in a space. You know, the Eastern philosophers say a moment of non-existence before existence. You know, you don't have something comparable because there was nothing like it before. And now it's a case where you're pioneering into new territory that are allowing, I'm going to guess it's going to be like an iPhone situation where there's going to be applications and ideas and concepts that come up from other programmers and collaborators and other people who say, wait a minute, I can take that and I can, do that with it. So not only are you on top of it right at the moment, but you've got nothing but incredibly exciting opportunities. We're going to have fun watching. And last but not least, the greatest thing going is you're right here in the great ATL, and that's really helping all of us to make a stronger and better image for the overall economy for the city and for the state of Georgia. So hats off for literally everything you're doing. And thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today on Tech Talk.
Well, you're quite welcome. TAG's a great organization, and we always like to support TAG and all the entrepreneurs that it supports.